it's my turn to just walk you through very briefly through the Nima upskilling and education strategy. I took the this is a shortened version of that which we have been showing for a number of months now, and trying to sort of gather feedback and refine the strategy as we move forwards. This is as much about keeping you up to date on what we're doing, how we're doing it, how we propose to go forwards, as it is a call for volunteers to help and to steer where we're going and what we're doing. So there are three pillars to the Nima upskilling strategy, and I'm going to sort of skip over the first one because Emma will be talking about the IMI foundations training and the IMI framework in more detail. So I won't dwell on this one too much, other than to say that the part that fits into my remit is obviously around education and around how we market, how we message the IMI and the foundations for people understanding what that means, the implications of it. So that's one of the work streams that's currently underway with the education stream. The second aspect is one of supporting academia and education providers within the IM sector. And what we're doing there is we're relaunching an initiative that is around sort of 10 years old already, something called the BIM Academic Forum, although what it's called going forwards is still up for debate. But what we're doing is we are intending to take this vehicle and to give it a new lease of life and a new remit. So the idea is to look at the academic, the educational supply chain from first instance of where people might learn about the built environment for the first time, might get interested in sort of schools, and then follow that journey through colleges, through apprenticeships, through universities, and into professional life and ongoing CPD. And we want to understand the weaknesses and the strengths of that supply chain. We want to know how we can support that supply chain, how we can use our influence and our resources to make that supply chain work better. And this will have a large impact on future strategy from Nima, on how we what we produce and how we direct our efforts. So the first of these conferences is taking place on the 16th of April this year in Manchester in the UK, and the idea is to gather many representatives from different levels and different positions within that supply chain, and to launch research topics and to encourage collaboration between different learning institutions. And there will be a lot of work will come from that. There's a lot of initiatives will be spawned from that particular activity. The idea is that we take those conferences to 3, perhaps 4 times a year, and they will be moving internationally as well, and looking to set up different chapters around the world and share ideas and best practice and really sort of help support academia as much as we possibly can. The third work stream in the education front comes around what it is we're actually looking to teach. I say us. I'm now sort of talking in terms of that supply chain and how we sort of move away from a one-size-fits-all training solution, which has kind of been prevalent in many instances in the past. The idea that if you are looking to be trained on BIM, on IM, that you are instantly pushed towards 19650 Part 2, regardless of your perspective. And so what we want to do is to turn the question of what you know about ISO 9650 Part 2 and the idea that we're measuring everybody against the same benchmark, turn that around and turn it into a question of what do you know in relation to what you should know in order to do your job. And this all leads to the concept of being able to develop career pathways for different perspectives, for different personas, to be able to understand where somebody is within this career pathway. And obviously we tailor this to the individual, but where you are within this pathway and what you know and where you want to be and what you should know in order to get there. Now, these questions are predicated on the fact that we know what somebody should know in order to get to where they want to be. So that in itself requires us to do a deep analysis of the responsibilities and expectations on these different personas. So that is where the revised learning outcomes framework comes to the fore. And what we're doing at the moment, we're currently in the midst of this, but we are gathering a series of experts in different fields from different perspectives, and we are asking them to analyze the process from beginning to end. And when I say from beginning to end, I'm talking about not about the capital works procurement stage of BIM and 19650, but actually taking this all the way back to an organizational understanding of what digital means in terms of that asset management, of how we prepare an organization, a client organization, for being able to have a conversation about the procurement of information. So taking it way before the kind of life cycle as we know it of an asset, way before that life cycle even kicks in. And we want to take it, so as well as taking it from, over a much longer sort of viewpoint, but also want to take it broader. We want to be able to understand it from different fields, from different roles within the industry. So the idea is to create a list of actions and deliverables, part of which is extracted from the various standards and protocols which exist in our field. Now, scope creep is obviously an issue in this respect because arguably there's thousands and thousands of standards that apply. But within the context of information management process, we want to analyze the deliverables and the responsibilities that exist within those standards. We want to take that in, supplement that with anecdotes and experience from these subject matter experts, and we want to be able to look at that list from different perspectives and start to assign responsibility to some of these parties. So the idea then would be to pick an individual persona and to look at that list of actions and responsibilities and understand what is applicable. Now, some of those responsibilities will be fixed to a particular job role. Some of them will be flexible depending upon contractual obligations. But ultimately, we want to look at which of those responsibilities apply to these different personas, and take in mind also that these different personas develop over time. So again, thinking of that career pathway, as you go from being a junior member of staff up to being the digital lead within an organization, for instance, then different responsibilities kick in. You might be contributing to certain elements at some point, but then responsible for them. You might have oversight of them. You might have knowledge of them. But we need to understand the intricacies of all of that in order to make that, to filter that list down to what is applicable. And then the important bit, we define the story. We turn that dry standard language into something that tells a story about what you need to know in order to do your job. There will be, aspects of this which will be checklist, but that's not something that hasn't been done before or can't be done fairly easily. What we're looking at here is really to get into the bones of what does it mean to do that job, and to do so with that specialization and that maturity of understanding. So the concept is that we make this master list. We create these filters related to the persona that we're using. So in this case, there's many different kind of use cases for this data once we've got it created. But essentially, in this particular case, if we take the use case of an institution which wants to define what its members should know around IM. So this list represents that. It's our members need to know the following, and they need to know them to the following, to the levels shown, and the importance of that information is also there. So that gives us a knowledge shape, and we can then start to compare knowledge shapes in order to understand what's a good fit. So that could be, for instance, candidates that are looking to apply to that institution. It could be people, it could be a job application that we're looking that an employer is looking to fulfill. So they've defined what their ideal candidate will look like, and you can compare candidates against that. But more importantly, as I said, we're not using this as another means of comparing everybody against the same benchmark. The idea is that we would compare people against their peers. So actually, if we've got 3 different candidates doing 3 different roles, that's 3 different knowledge shapes that we're comparing them against. And actually, you might find somebody that looks weak in one respect actually knows everything they need to know in order to do the job they're currently doing. But as well as that, and coming back more frontline to the academic purposes of this, what we want to be able to do is to steer academic providers, educational providers, towards curriculum development that's in line with what the market expects and wants. So here we have the same principles applied to a gap analysis for a course. Let's say that's a graduate course. It could be a CPD course. It could be a master's course. No matter what it is, the course content is analysed in relation to what the industry wants of the candidates that come out of that course. So if the industry requirements are shown in the blue line, the black line represents where the course currently stands, then we've got work to do. Yes, there's a lot of good content in that course, but there is also a lot of gaps. There's a lot of red areas that are not yet being covered by that course. And possibly worse, there's some ugly areas. The orange areas represent parts of the course content that are irrelevant to the industry and therefore should be removed. So we're not only so the idea is that we can get different peer groups in order to sort of review this master list and create the persona relevant IM task list, and from that we can then develop curricula and we can develop the stories that go along with that. How we use that information, as I say, is very varied. To me, the ultimate use case for this is shown here in the bottom right-hand corner, where we stop comparing everybody against this same benchmark, and we start to realize that different jobs, different roles within the industry require a different perspective when it comes to IM, to a different level of knowledge on different subjects, and therefore we need to compare them with against their peers and find out whether or not they need to know more information, whether they need to be upskilled. So I guess just if I finish off by saying that what we're looking for is volunteers to help with this subject matter expert review and the analysis of the various standards in order to help compile these lists and then to compile the stories that go along with them. So if anybody is interested in helping with this review and with this work in creating this learning outcomes framework, I'd be very interested in hearing from you.